In the last full year on record, the Council on American Islamic Relations received 8,658 complaints of anti-Muslim hate and bias. That's not just a number, it's the highest number they've ever seen in their 30-year history. The hate is real and it's a crisis. If you feel overwhelmed by it, or you're not alone. But here's the thing, being overwhelmed is a choice. So is taking a stand. This isn't a video about despair, it's a roadmap. We're going to break down what's really going on and then get into the practical, concrete things we can all do as individuals and as a society to start fixing it. To solve a problem, you have to look it right in the eye. Islamophobia isn't just about someone being ignorant or rude. It's a systemic issue, a type of bigotry that's woven into the fabric of our society. It's fed by political rhetoric that paints over 1 billion people with one scary, threatening brushstroke, and it gets amplified by media outlets that too often show Muslims as a collective threat instead of a community that is also grieving. This isn't just a theory, it has brutal real-world consequences. It's the story of Wadea Al-Fayoume, a 6-year-old boy in Illinois who was stabbed 26 times and killed in his own home. His landlord was reportedly enraged by the conflict in Gaza. It's the attempted drowning of a 3-year-old Palestinian-American girl in a pool in Texas. These aren't just headlines, they are the horrific endpoints of a culture that has let hate grow. And in 2025, the problem has a new face. Civil rights groups are seeing a massive surge in what they call viewpoint discrimination. People are being targeted not just for being Muslim, but for what they say and believe. We've seen students on college campuses, Muslim, Jewish, Black, and other allies, get suspended, face police crackdowns, and get retaliated against just for speaking out for Palestinian human rights. For the first time ever, workplace discrimination is the top complaint, with people being fired or punished for their political views. This is a direct attack on free expression, which is supposed to be a cornerstone of our democracy. This isn't just an American problem either. From Europe to Australia, the geopolitical conflict has become an excuse for a spike in anti-Muslim racism. In the European Union, nearly 1 out of every 2 Muslims says they've experienced racism and discrimination in their daily lives. Far-right parties are jumping on this moment, stoking fear to gain political power by pushing for policies that put mosques under surveillance and restrict Muslim community groups. Islamophobia has become a dangerous political tool, and as it becomes more normal, it threatens the safety and dignity of Muslims everywhere. The data is clear. This is a global crisis that needs a global response. It's so easy to feel powerless when you're up against this much hate, but your actions create ripples you might never even see. Real change starts with the choices we make every single day. Here are 5 practical things you can start doing right now. 1, educate yourself and others. This is the foundation. So much of Islamophobia is built on a mountain of lies and bad information. Take some time to actually learn about the incredible diversity and richness of Muslim cultures and Islamic history. Don't just rely on clickbait headlines, and help your friends and family get better at media literacy. Teach them how to spot biased news coverage and look for sources that offer a more complete picture. Whenever you see myths and stereotypes, share good information to set the record straight. 2, challenge a toxic culture. You have to be an active bystander. Islamophobia gets its power from silence, from good people looking the other way. When you hear an anti-Muslim joke or a nasty comment, say something. You don't have to be a superhero. A simple, calm question like, "What do you mean by that?" or "Help me understand why that's funny," can be surprisingly powerful. It interrupts the hate and forces the person to actually try and defend their bigotry, which most of the time they can't. Silence is a form of consent. Your voice, even in a small way, sends a message that this is not okay. 3. Amplify Muslim voices. One of the best things you can do is pass the mic. For way too long, the story of Muslims has been told by pretty much everyone except Muslims. Use your social media to actively find, follow, and share the work of Muslim creators, writers, artists, and activists. When you come across a powerful story or a smart take, share it. This is a direct way to fight the negative, one-dimensional stereotypes that are all over the mainstream and help create a more balanced and human conversation. 4. Build real solidarity. This means doing more than just hitting like or share. It's about making real-world connections. Reach out to a local mosque or an Islamic cultural center in your town. Just introduce yourself or your community group and ask, how can we be better allies to you? Go to an interfaith dinner or a mosque open house. Real solidarity is about building relationships and trust. It's about showing up, especially when there isn't a crisis. It also means joining forces with other marginalized groups to fight the different kinds of discrimination that threaten all of us. 5. Know how to report incidents. This is a huge concrete action you can take. Hate crimes and discrimination are massively underreported, partly because people have no idea where to go. Get familiar with how to report hate crimes to your local police, but just as important, learn how to report them to civil rights groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations, or KI. They track these incidents and offer legal help. If you see something or if something happens to you, report it. Every single report is another piece of data that proves how big the problem is and gives advocates the proof they need to fight for change. Individual action is critical, but it's not enough. We can't just nice our way out of systemic bigotry. We have to take on the policies and the structures that let this hate spread. Here's the blueprint for the systemic changes we have to demand. First, demand legislative action and legal protection. Our laws have to be a shield for every single citizen. That means calling our leaders and demanding they pass and actually enforce anti-hate crime laws that specifically name and address Islamophobia. Means supporting federal legislation like the Combating International Islamophobia Act, which would create a special envoy at the State Department to monitor and fight this bigotry around the world. And it means fighting like hell against discriminatory state-level laws like the so-called anti-Sharia bills that are designed for one reason, to stigmatize Muslim communities. Second, push for institutional reform. Hate is a learned behavior, which means it can be unlearned. We need to require religious literacy and anti-discrimination training in our most important institutions. That means anti-bias training for law enforcement, who are too often viewed with distrust by the very communities they're supposed to protect. It means pushing school districts to adopt curricula that teach the real history of Islam and the contributions of Muslim civilizations, so we can fight the ignorance that breeds so much hate. And it means holding employers accountable for creating truly inclusive workplaces with clear policies for religious accommodation. Third, advocate for safer communities. What good is freedom of worship if you're afraid to go to your mosque? We need to demand a massive increase in government funding for the physical security of mosques, Islamic schools, and community centers, which have become targets for violent attacks and threats. At the same time, we have to make sure that legal aid and mental health services are available for the victims of these hate crimes who carry the trauma long after the cameras go away. Fourth, hold media and tech giants accountable. Let's be honest, online platforms have become super spreaders of hate. We need to put relentless pressure on social media companies to enforce their own rules, take down Islamophobic content, de-platform the worst offenders, and protect users from targeted harassment. We also have to call out media outlets that use sensational, dehumanizing language to talk about Muslims or frame pro-Palestinian advocacy as somehow hateful. A healthy society depends on responsible journalism, and we have to hold them to that standard. And finally, engage locally. You can be an incredibly powerful advocate right where you live. There are resources out there like a Mayor's Guide to Countering Islamophobia, created by America Indivisible and the US Conference of Mayors, which gives local leaders real, actionable steps on everything from police training to community events. Download it, send it to your city council, and demand that your local government make fighting hate a priority. This is a fight on two fronts. It demands that every one of us becomes more conscious in our daily lives, more educated, more vocal, and more willing to stand in true solidarity. And it demands that we get loud and relentless in forcing our institutions and leaders to tear down the systems that allow this hate to grow. The fight against Islamophobia isn't just about protecting Muslims, it's about defending the very idea of a pluralistic society. It's a fight for free expression, for equal justice, and to affirm that this country can and must be a safe home for people of every faith and every background. First, the simplest and most powerful action you can take is to share this video. Getting this information out there helps more people understand the crisis and, more importantly, the solutions. Second, pick just one of the individual actions we talked about and commit to doing it this week. Maybe it's following 3 new Muslim creators online. Maybe it's finally having that tough conversation with a family member about media bias. Small steps create big ripples. And third, if you're ready to do more, find your elected officials. We'll link to resources in the description. Use the policy points from this video to write them an email or give them a call. Let them know that you're paying attention and you're demanding action. The road ahead isn't easy, but it is clear, and it starts with us. It starts now.